Hi everyone, my name is Fantasia Wood, and for my interactive element presentation, I will be talking about Twitter, which is actually now known as X. So first of all, what is an interactive element? The best way to define an interactive element is by just calling it what it is, social media. And social media is interactive because it's real-time communication. One thing can go up by one person and someone can almost immediately respond from anywhere in the world. So what is Twitter? Twitter is a form of social media that's used for microblogging. And we'll get into what is microblogging in a second. And it's a tool used for real-time information sharing. It allows the user to choose what direction they want to share their information or how they want to convey their message. So what is microblogging? I put this here specifically because I didn't know what it was, and so I figured someone else might benefit from this information. But microblogging is short form focused content, meaning very short paragraphs. Twitter actually has a word count limit that is condensed to the point. There's very little fluff, and so that makes it micro, small blogging. Here is actually a video that I found on YouTube that I thought was really useful, so I decided to throw it in there just in case you have the hard copy of this PowerPoint, because that's what I used to learn what Twitter was. I actually have never used it before. Here's an example of a tweet. You can see it says, "We did it. Thank you to all my followers. We beat our goal." You can see that it's very condensed, to the point, and direct. So that's what a tweet is, and that would be thrown out into the world and everyone would get to see it based off of their privacy settings. So how can Twitter be used in the adult learning slash training kind of headspace? That's where I was kind of stuck, so this was a really fun presentation for me to learn about. So first you can use it to just share updates. You can let your teams know when things are happening, or to throw resources out there, things that you find that would really help your team to learn or grow. Create hashtags. So once a hashtag is created, which is used by making the pound sign and then a word, if you click the pound sign, it takes you to all relevant information based off of that word. And so you can create kind of your own little discussion room based off of the hashtag, which is really useful. You can promote virtual events such as training, post reflections after training, just positive thoughts or words, and you can connect with peers for learning. Best practices. So first is to use specific hashtags. You don't want to just like throw your information out into the world without people being able to find you. So a hashtag would really help. Make sure you're following accounts that are not sketchy, because people can see who you're following and it changes your algorithm, changes the information that's flowing to the rest of your followers. Make sure you're actually using your Twitter. So if you make it, might as well use it. Make sure that you're not, cursing, putting inappropriate content out there. Like, you shouldn't be doing that anyways as a trainer, especially not a facilitator, but you should still follow their policy or else you're going to lose your account. And make sure that your account is positive and encourages people to actually comment on what you're saying, because if it's a dead Twitter account, you're wasting your time and you're wasting your students' time or your trainees. The best part about Twitter is honestly the fact that it's free. Anyone can get on it as long as you can sign up for accounts. So you just need an email, and it's an app or a website, meaning that you don't even have to like download an application. It's quick. It's so easy to send out a tweet, and all you do is type up what you need and press post and it's done. It builds communities, meaning that you can use your hashtag to create a group of people with like-minded interests. And it's flexible. Honestly, you get to choose what direction that you use Twitter for, or if you use it at all. You're not going to hurt its feelings if you choose not to use it. And you can choose for more of like picture-based media format or word-based media format. The disadvantages. So one of the biggest ones I was thinking is it can be distracting. If a student or a trainee is using the personal Twitter, it could have personal interest in it, and they could choose to like watch that instead of paying attention to what you are tweeting. It has limited character count, so you kind of lose the ability to fluff up your sentences. You have to be direct and to the point. Not everyone on Twitter is very informed or educated, and so your students could actually come across misinformation, and so you have to be careful and teach them to recognize what is a valid account versus what is something you shouldn't listen to. Privacy concerns, of course, you can control your own privacy, your own data, but this is a lesson that has to be taught before you introduce Twitter to a group of people. Make sure that they understand what kind of safety settings should be on their account. And honestly, there's a little bit of depth that could be lacking, so you can't assume that your Twitter account can be used as like a full education platform. You're going to need to rely on other elements in order to make the full dynamic educational experience. So, here's how different companies or training environments use Twitter. So, IBM, which is a large company, uses hashtag IBM training. So if you go on Twitter and you click it, you will see what's relevant to IBM training, meaning all of their trainees are able to find their information very quick and easily. Teachers around the world like to use hashtag EdChat and post relevant resources or just thoughts for the day. So that's really cool. There's another large company called Delotti that shares leadership tips. That's, it's very similar to how LinkedIn is used, but on more of a free-form platform because Twitter is not strictly business. You can live tweet conferences and talks, meaning that, you can do a presentation live and students or trainees can see it. And it allows you as a trainer to post daily tips, meaning you can say how best your students should go about their day or interact with your learning. So it's pretty cool because it allows a lot more flexibility versus LinkedIn, which is strictly business. Like if you see something other than business on LinkedIn, there's usually several comments being like, why is this on here? This is LinkedIn. I don't want to see your family. I don't want to see, yada yada. Twitter is much less strict. All right. So as a trainer, here are some tips for, say, if you're a hypothetical trainer. Make sure to introduce your Twitter to your team. Don't just assume everyone knows how to use it or knows what it is. Create specific hashtags so that people are able to follow your information. Make sure that you're using it consistently. Make sure that after a session there's a tweet. Like if you expect your students to use it, you need to make it usable. You can pair all of your tweets with another assignment. That's what I think would be best, just because Twitter can be kind of shallow, and so if you want it expanded and more fluffy, then you gotta kind of team it with other stuff. And make sure you're following appropriate accounts from your field so that your students also can end up with that on their algorithm. So, in conclusion, Twitter supports adult learning, it enhances peer engagement, and you can use it with training plans as long as, like I said, you have a good mesh between different resources. That's all I have. Thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful day.